He's almost guaranteed to win again. Vladimir Putin sounded more like his Cold War predecessors, warning of a nuclear war, showing elaborate animations of what he called invincible nuclear weapons. Like this apparently new low-flying cruise missile described as having a limitless range and unpredictable flight path, evading American missile defenses and shown targeting the United States. And a long-range underwater drone tipped with a nuclear warhead.
I think we ought to take this very seriously. Vladimir Putin is a very serious leader.
The new defense budget of $700 billion.
Nuclear warhead.
I think we ought to take this very seriously. Vladimir Putin is a very serious leader. He has a powerful scientific establishment behind him, and several of these weapons will be game changers.
President Trump, seldom critical of Russia, didn't respond, but the White House did.
U.S. defense capabilities are and will remain second to none. And now, because of the new defense budget of $700 billion, our military will be far stronger than ever.
To some, it all harkens back to the duck and cover days of the American-Soviet arms race. But not everyone is convinced.
The little threat about nuclear weapons was really interesting because, boy, if ever there were an
basic gist of this story is that in 2014 and 2015, according to our reporting, a unit of China's People's Liberation Army implanted malicious microchips on computer servers bound for U.S. companies. Now, those computer servers wound up in very targeted, very large companies, including Apple and Amazon. And what these malicious chips did was compromise the software on these hardware devices at the kind of level that you can't detect. It's in many ways the ultimate silent attack, and this was a very major discovery for these companies and for U.S. intelligence services.
Yeah, and Jordan, well done, of course, for uncovering it and writing the story for Bloomberg Business Week. But where you've kind of grown accustomed to some of the software-based incidents, is a hardware incident more serious than a software hacking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this story has taken, well over a year for us to report and write. And, a lot of that is learning what is a hardware attack. Like, it's such science fiction in many ways to us as reporters and to the public at large. A hardware attack is simply the most effective type of computer hacking that any organization can engineer. And the reason is hardware controls sources, including inside those companies, Apple, Amazon, and others, and extensively within the U.S. government, that this attack did indeed occur. And as you correctly point out, this is an ongoing, highly classified, top-secret U.S. government investigation. That's one reason that we believe the companies would deny this reporting. And in addition, there was no consumer data that's alleged to have been stolen. This attack was about long-term access to sensitive networks. So by that logic, companies are not required to disclose this information. So there's no advantage for these companies in confirming this reporting.
So, Jordan, in your reporting with Michael Riley that took more than 12 months, who actually detected this suspicious chip, which, again, is the size of a grain of rice first?
Yeah, this is an amazing story because, these attacks happen probably more often than we're aware of, but companies simply don't look at their hardware.
Against all of China's remaining exports to the United States if talks with President Xi fail in November. These new tariffs could amount to $257 billion of Chinese goods. President Trump and Xi are set to meet at the end of November at the G20 summit in Argentina. The President Xi also calling on his military advisors to prepare for fighting a war. Xi making those comments following his visit last week to the disputed islands in the South China Sea. Joining us now to take on these issues and to tell us where this tariff dispute and his judgment trade dispute between the United States and China are headed. We are delighted to be joined by Dr. Michael Pillsbury, author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, The 100-Year Marathon Strategy to Replace America as the Global Superpower. Dr. Pillsbury, good to have you with us. And let me start with first the continued escalation of rhetoric. As President Xi today making those threats to his military commanders, the United States Navy talking about further actions to keep freedom of navigation operations going. Fiction when it comes to a Cold War. Putin seems to be making every move possible to provoke and then want to discuss things over with this president. I cannot read Putin to save me. I know that you certainly could, so help us out.
Well, I do want to point out something President Trump authorized his National Security Advisor John Bolton to do, which is to propose talks with Putin about the China threat, to kind of send a message to the Chinese that we and the Russians can be talking about your economic threat, your technology theft, a lot of things that China does to the United States, they also do.